Hello and welcome. Happy Halloween. My name is Tim Shank.
And I'm Brian McAvoy. Can you say bonus episode? We can. It's Halloween, and we're going to change this up a bit. We usually talk about how people can increase their capabilities through biohacking, and that's cool. But in the spirit of America's favorite costume holiday, we're talking about cosmetic changes today. Ones that aren't functional in the grinder sense. Of course, this is being brought to you by Twin Cities Plus, creating an intelligent, capable, and resilient community.
Halloween is a perfect time to talk about this, Brian. It's for when people change their appearance for an evening, but some people change their appearance for a lifetime. There's tattoos, piercings, scarification, which is kind of a favorite of mine. I've always wanted to get that in branding. Just name a few.
Plus, all the ones you can get from a doctor, like plastic surgery. Now, you and I are a bit different in this regard. I have tattoos and piercings, and I've had them for years, but you don't have anything. Is that just not your style?
It really isn't, Brian. Well, actually, let me go back. I've had piercings. I've actually done piercings kind of for a living, but I've never, at least recently, I want function to be in there. Now that we have the ability to have implants that actually do something, I'm more along those lines now.
A couple of the tattoos I've got on my right rib cage are barcodes of a couple books that I self-published years ago, and the books are awful. Don't look for them, but they're semi-functional if they scan. But I have seen people with QR code tattoos and barcode tattoos that do scan, which is kind of between that line of functional and purely cosmetic.
Yeah, I like the idea of something that scans. For me, I would wonder over time, would that be readable and how would that change? Because everything droops when you're 60.
I'm sure it would.
So I've never been a fan of more cosmetic stuff, but I was interested in the one you have in your left. Is it left hand, Brian?
Oh, that's in my right hand. Yeah, the Firefly. Yeah, the Firefly tattoo is cosmetic. It was made by grinders, and what it is, it's tritium vial lined with lead and then lined in borosilicate glass to be bioproof. And all it does is it gives off light. The tritium is radioactive, hence the lead lining, and it gives off light. I think it's got a half-life of 12 years, so it'll be glowing strong for a good while. I tried to make it a little functional this morning by using it to find a keyhole, and my eyes weren't adjusted well enough, so I couldn't. So at this point, it's purely cosmetic, and I really like it. Every time I'm in the dark and I glance at my hand, I'm like, ooh, that's neat. I glow in the dark.
That is kind of cool. If it were brighter, then then it would have function that I'd like. But here's what I think is awesome about that one, and it's that it has a power source under the skin, an actual source, not a battery or something like that, which is the best we've had up to now. I don't think there's any actually powered implants under the skin, even for medical purposes. And yours, with the radioactive isotope, is a true power source under the skin. And I think that's what excites me, is because the potential for powering other devices is kind of there too.
The actual power output of this is very, very low, but it's the point that it makes about, like you said, about having a power source under your skin. I mean, it's going to be producing that power output for years.
Yeah, and that's exciting. And now I've also seen some other implants. I don't know if you've seen, I saw it in a video about fads in Japan, but they're donut implants, and they're injecting a saline solution in kind of a pattern, and you can make it look like a donut or a lump, but you can add shoulders, you can make your arms like Popeye, and it all kind of goes away. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, I have, and those aren't permanent. I don't think they're an implant. I think, like you said, they're just saline injections, and you get that bulge temporarily, and I don't like the way it looks. It's not something I would do, but it's kind of cool that somebody thought, hey, I accidentally injected a patient with saline solution and it didn't hurt them. It just bulged up and looked funny for a little while, and I thought, hey, I can use that cosmetically.
I would even give that a try, I think, just because, I mean, if it's not permanent, if it's gone in 12 hours and you can make yourself have a Neanderthal looking brow, or you can, I mean, just have some fun on Halloween, just inject it into your cheeks, make yourself look different. And I think that's kind of fun.
Oh yeah, you could have it for a weekend. You could give yourself little horns or something for Halloween.
Well, now I'm actually considering doing that this Halloween.
You got to
That's
find
funny.
somebody to do it.
Name another one, Brian. Cosmetic implant.
All right, so probably one of the most common that you hear about, or that is definitely obvious, is breast enhancement. Silicone implants and whatever else they've been using for those. And I think this is interesting because they can enhance a person's mood. They can enhance a person, well, generally women's, but they can enhance a person's self-confidence, bring their bust back to normal if they've had reduction surgery or mastectomy. And so, I don't know. What are your thoughts on breast enhancement? And this specifically refers to enlarging.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, confidence is one of the most important qualities you can have to help you just interact with other people and be yourself. I mean, if you don't feel confident, then you can't really be yourself when you're around anybody who you think matters. So if something makes you more confident, then I say great. One thing I see is there's people who get addicted to it. I've seen news stories about people injecting cement as a butt implant and things like that just go way overboard.
Oh man!
And I think that there's value into building confidence, but if it doesn't work one time, you shouldn't keep on doing it. You shouldn't try different things because it's not working.
That's a little strange for some junk in the trunk, but
Well, and that's one of the most extreme cases. I mean, there's people who get addicted to facelifts. They just keep on doing more and more facelifts, and you see this with a lot of people actually, even in media and things like that. It ends up making you look like a cat. If you keep on going, you become a cat.
well, there is a person, I can't remember the name, but they are trying to look like a cat. They have
Great.
these repeated tattoos and surgeries and implants, and I think their teeth are capped to be sharp and all these things because they want to look like a cat. And they specifically set out to do this.
I think that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look like a cat. If you want to look like a cat, look like a cat.
Yeah, the technology's there. You
Sure.
know what you're getting into?
What are you getting into?
The litter box.
Wasn't it Grindhouse that had a ring of LEDs?
Mm-hmm. I think that was their North Star project.
That was North Star?
Yep.
And that was purely cosmetic, right?
Yes, North Star version 1 just had LEDs that came on in a pattern when they sensed a magnetic field, like from a finger magnet. And that was their proof of concept to show that they could mass produce or repeatedly produce a implant suitable for mass consumption. So they did exactly what they set out to do. And it was an iterative design experiment. They wanted to show we can do this sort of thing. Next, we'll make it a lot more functional. Like I think version 2 is going to have an accelerometer and being able to sense your hand position. So you could, for example, fly a quadcopter.
But as far as the first generation, well, proof of concept, which is great. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting experiment. So it's a bonus episode, Brian. So it's a free pass to do anything we want.
Let's talk about penis enhancements. We talked about north of the border already.
But that's not purely cosmetic.
Well, I think for a lot of folks, it's going to enhance their confidence. I mean, what would you rather have?
That's for sure.
What would you rather do? Spend $70,000 on a sports car or $15,000 in Mexico and have them enlarge your junk? I mean, if you crash a sports car, you're screwed. If you get a penis enhancement, you're still screwed, but,
Nice.
I'm on top of these jokes.
Yes, you are.
I can make sex puns all day.
All right. Well, sex sells, so people get it. Other purely cosmetic. Well, shoot. I mean, you got to talk about piercings and stuff. And I know the guy who does my implants. He does bone implants. He does all kinds of cosmetic implants, different shapes under the skin.
What's a bone implant? I have not heard of that outside of like cochlear implants.
Yeah, bone studs. There's people who put them in their skull so that they can have screw-in horns, studs.
As grinders, we don't see these as functional. But the people who have them want them for a very good reason. and they want to enhance their lifestyle. And just like grinders, they're using the technology available to them to increase their enjoyment of life. And that was a parallel that I wanted to draw today. And so I think there's a lot of validity to the people who get cosmetic surgeries. Wait, we're forgetting a very obvious one here. Gender reassignment. That is a very, very big commitment. It is a huge step, and I can't think of any grinder who's undergone anything more intense than to change their sex. I mean, talk about using technology, literally cutting edge technology to alter yourself to what you want to be.
That really goes beyond. I mean, we're talking about cosmetic stuff. Is that cosmetic?
No, it's cosmetic to me. I guess would be more like surface level stuff, boobs, face, butt, that kind of stuff. Dick. Yeah, gender reassignment it goes way, way beyond that. But that is a technological body mod that wasn't always possible.
But if you're talking about breast enlargement and penis enhancement,
I'm talking about those a lot.
Then that's just a matter of degrees.
I'll grant you that it's a category of its own.
Well, it is, but
I can't think of any comparison.
No, you're right, and it's so extreme that it's such an extreme change. But as far as gender, gender or something, that's a huge modification. I mean, that's pretty well, and that's it, right? I mean, can't get more modified than that, really.
It doesn't change who you are. You're still you, but you're the you imagine yourself to be, instead of the body you were given. I mean, you and I probably don't consider ourselves like happy with being stock humans, so we got upgrades. We implanted magnets and NFC and RFID, and it's kind of along the same lines, but on a different scale. There's a level of commitment there that I don't have.
What we're talking about, enhancement. What would you get?
The tattoo I'm planning to get is actually going to be the resistor color code in a stylized form. So in a way, it's kind of functional because I always forget the resistor color code. So now I'll have it as a permanent cheat sheet.
Sure.
That's my plans for now. What about you? What would you get?
Well, I had piercings, and I had several things pierced, and I did piercings.
Wink.
Well, let me go back.
Nope.
Let me go back. I wouldn't get a tattoo, so I got a piercing, and I did my own once. I got another one. I think I ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7, and then I decided I wanted to take it a step further, and I had somebody train me in piercing, and I actually did a few piercings for money for a while, but I stopped doing that when it became a fad. So I've gone through all of that. Never had a tattoo, but I'd been deep into piercing. There's a tattoo that I would get, a set of tattoos that I would get that are symbolic to me, kind of, and they're very large. And I would get those. As far as cosmetic, anything else? Actually, I can't think of anything I would choose to get. I like to look plain.
You're not going to get vampire tooth caps?
Nope.
That's a shame.
No, I gotta say, I don't think I'm going to get vampire tooth caps.
Dang. What if they were retractable? Would you get them then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, if they would help me eat or something.
Suck the stuff out of an egg without really breaking it.
I got to say, the first raw egg you eat is the easiest one, because after that, you know what it's like.
I mean, 3 tablespoons of snot here. The next one's going to be better.
Yeah, not for me.
This being our Halloween episode, I'd be remiss not to mention your association with the Dark Lord himself.
Oh, no.
That's right. You know what I'm talking about.
Okay, so I talked about NFC implants on the local news and got accused of being one of Satan's minions, spreading the mark of the beast or some such.
Well, I have good news, Tim. We have a special guest today.
Oh, no, Brian, don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah. Can I get a big hand and a warm welcome for Beelzebub?
Thank you. Thanks for having me on your show. I'm a longtime listener, so it's a real honor.
So, Satan, we've seen all your work. droughts, plagues, famine, pestilence, war, corruption, petabytes of porn. I'll get off my high horse now. But the NFC implants, truly exciting.
It's really all about...
Thanks, Brian. We're calling the new line the Mark. It's been my brainchild since I realized this niche hadn't been filled in the early dark ages. Of course, we realized that we'd have to build the product from the ground up. We're opening new doors.
And opening doors is exactly what you're doing, right?
Yeah, actually, I have a lock on my door that responds to my tag.
Excuse me. As I said, we're referring to the new line as the Mark. But opening doors and the gates of hell are just the tip of the iceberg, Brian. Low-hanging fruit, so to speak.
The Mark, eh? I wonder how Matthew, Luke, and John feel about taking second fiddle. But you said this was just low-hanging fruit. This is a pretty big deal, so where are you going next?
Next quarter, we're planning to circle back around to make a big push into the payment processing arena.
Now that sounds useful. Kind of like Back to the Future 2, where everyone pays with their thumbprint. It was so convenient, so futuristic.
Yeah, it's really a win-win.
I've actually put a Bitcoin wallet on my NFC tag itself.
Brian, I feel like I have to apologize here. Tim is a low-level minion that really hasn't been prepared to speak for our organization at all.
What the hell, Tim?
I'll have to circle